Okay, thank you. So first, I want to say again, like I said last Monday, and I read a variety of reasons why, as council president, it's my duty to make sure that the council follows its rules and abides by its own rules. And I'm wearied as to, all the time we have been spending on this. Just like some people who mentioned, there's a lot more priorities and bigger and more important things to be discussed in the city, and I would really like to get there. Also, I want to say that, from the beginning, Councilmember Binda has had a lot of potential. He's been given a lot of grace and direction, not just by leaders here, but also other mentors, mentors of color, and leaders, county, state leaders tried to mentor him. And I wish, like he said, I think it's kind of ironic how he announced a couple weeks ago that he's not going anywhere, and he wants to continue to show up and continue representing the city and continue doing the work. That's all we've been asking him to do. We just want him to do the work and to represent and to make the city of Lynnwood his priority, and to show up in person, show up to his board meetings, show up to his commission meetings. We want him just to be accountable for what he's already agreed to do, what people elected him to do. That's all we're asking. We rooted him on. We wanted him to do well. I'm just going to tell you the facts of what has gone wrong, and that is, and tonight, and what this motion, or what this item is about his reimbursement. Okay, I'm not going to read everything that I read last week if you want to hear it, and there's a lot of different things that have happened over the course of time that you're welcome to listen to past council meetings. And nothing's allowed in public. I know that there was a comment or two that, I wish the council could discuss this in public. Sadly, we cannot. And also it's proper. It makes sense. There's a reason why we can't do that. And so, unfortunately, it can't be discreet. But Councilmember Binda has not made it discreet. And it's his request that he gets reimbursed for a trip that he was told he couldn't go on. Now, he was told he couldn't go on this. Let me first say that Councilmember Binda, like the rest of us, has budgeted funds for training and travel, like the rest of us do. And there was never a dispute whether or not he was there or not. That was not the dispute. And while we heard from different youth folks who were there and saw him speak, the only clarification was that we did get confirmed through a National League of Cities senior specialist that Councilmember Binda wasn't a keynote speaker. Yes, he spoke briefly. In fact, in quote, that he did briefly speak to some youth delegates. That's fine. That's fine. He's open and able to do that. We didn't dispute that. It's what else did he do, and what else has he done, and that he was told he couldn't go. It's quite a privilege to travel as a council member, to go to any of these types of events, let alone travel to Washington, D.C. is quite a privilege. And you got to plan ahead for those things quite a bit. And Councilmember Binda brought this up to me 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the actual time frame. Council Vice President Juliet Altamirano Crosby had brought this up several months ahead, like most elected officials who went there planned far in advance for this event because it takes time to organize all the scheduled meetings to talk about the priorities of Lynnwood and those things. And I spoke more about that. But just to be clear, that he was told by me in person he wasn't approved to attend the National League of Cities event and travel to Washington, D.C. with city funds. He could certainly go there on his own dime. In addition, via email through our city council executive assistant, he was also told if he wanted to challenge this, he had the opportunity to ask the whole city council and the city attorney about him being able to officially attend. He chose not to do either. Because again, as my job as this year as city council president, and while it's my responsibility that the council abides by its rules, the council rules also state that if anyone wants to challenge something the council president has done or decided, she can do that by going through the rest of the council. And so that's where that came from. Okay. Travel of any city employee, especially elected officials, is particularly scrutinized by our auditors. We would want to be able to defend any and all of it, and we cannot defend Councilmember Binda's travel or participation at all as a representative of Lynnwood. And I can tell you why. I mean, this isn't opinion, this is facts. He was, for that reason and also for this reason, he was told no because he has before misappropriated city funds and city resources. We know that. He's being investigated now by the City Ethics Board or the City Ethics Attorney, and actually has been found guilty on 2 parts of that. And it's moving on to the next stage. So not only with this blatant misuse of city resources, and you know, if you've been paying attention, filming his private speaking engagements here in City Hall, using his city email to negotiate all these contracts with the school districts that he got paid for to speak as a city council member. And you talk to other city council members, and you know, it's, for me, that would be, I'm not going to go in that. We've also noted that Councilmember Binda was also at our first 2 of the year invites, you know, to the Olympia, the Associated Washington Cities event, and then the second one, Lobby Days. And he attended both those things. And he didn't go to member trainings, council member trainings, nor the scheduled and planned City of Lynnwood legislative meetings at the past 2 events in Olympia. He was there. He mingled, but he did not do anything on behalf of the city in the scheduled meetings and talk about our city priorities as a Lynnwood city councilman. Those things have already been paid for him. The city paid for those events for him. So when it came up, like I said, just a couple weeks before the actual event of the NLC, I said, no, you need to talk to the rest of the council about this and the city attorney. You need to figure out a different way to do this. One last thing here is that it's important to note, and for the council as well, that we need to know and respect that the city finance director, according to our city travel policy, has the final word on any reimbursements for us. She can either approve or deny. It's up to her to make this final decision. I understand that in order to qualify for a reimbursement, this is also in the travel policy. In order to qualify for a reimbursement, each expense must be reasonable and prudent under the circumstances and directly related to the conduct of city business or a service of substantial benefit provided for the city. Care must be taken to avoid unnecessary or excessive expenses. I would say that under the circumstances and all the things that I've mentioned, that Councilmember Binda hasn't used his city resources in his travel prudently. So, and then also it would be prudent and I think advised that Councilmember Binda would have to prove that even if he did come up with the appropriate receipts and I believe he's asking for amounts of $1,190.80. This is for his flight and for the access, the ticket for the NLC that he got. And then I don't know if that has to do with also repaying what he didn't pay for the Black Caucus event. I'm not sure if that includes that or not. But what we would have to prove, in my opinion, again, being careful with the use of city funds, is that somebody else didn't pay for these costs for him that he may be reimbursed for. And that also he's not double billing for his public speaking business. I believe that would also have to be proven. So all that to say, I'd like to make a motion. And knowing and respecting that, again, that the city finance director has the final say, not us, I would move that the city council request the finance director in her review of Councilmember Binda's ask for city-funded reimbursement of travel to the National League of Cities, that she evaluate Binda's request with scrutiny and judicious attention, and that it is of the opinion of the city council that Councilmember Binda's reimbursement request be rejected.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Council President Sessions, would you like to speak further to that motion?
I think I've said enough for now. I'd like to hear from others.